Okay, let's keep moving forward then. You had a testimonial year after 25.
Yes.
Tell us what that involved, and I guess it was more work for you again.
It was quite a privilege to be offered it. It was certainly something that I won't forget, because I think people think I made a lot of money out of it, but it went drastically wrong in more ways than one. The first thing being Paul, bless him, in the supporters club, said that he would put a night on for me, and they did. They didn't sell enough tickets to cover the cost, and then what made it worse was the band that he employed normally did only hen nights. So I had all my guests there for 3 blokes to jump out of a dustbin, start bollock naked, sticking their bits and pieces in women's ears, which did not go down a bundle. So that was the start of my testimonial. I was really fortunate. Malcolm Webster, again bless him, because he was at Ipswich, spoke to Joe Royal and done me an enormous favour by getting Ipswich Town to come here. The downside was Heather Wilkanowski, who was on the testimonial committee, who was really good to me, didn't tell me until I'd had a 3-course meal, 4 glasses of wine, that I was going to be playing in the second half. And Rob Newman was manager at the time, and they'd arranged for me to have a pair of boots and everything else. And Heather came in just as I was finishing my last sort of second bowl of my pudding, with a shirt with Darler on the back, and I went, "Oh cheers." She went, "Oh no, it don't work like that, you're playing." So I went, "You've got to be joking." So as I came down on, changed, walked out onto the pitch, the little lad who was playing right back at the time, as I walked past him, went, "Hello Grandad." I went, "What?" He went, "Hello Grandad." Well, that was like a red rag to a ball to start with. So my first touch of the ball got chipped up, and I jumped him and won a header. The second ball, Stuart Bimson played down the line, and I turned inside and crossed it across out to the right wing, and then he was still giving me jip, and I do remember having this glorious moment where he was messing about with the ball down in the bottom left hand corner by the supporters club, and it was absolutely soaking wet, the pitch, because it had been raining all day, and I thought, here comes Grandad, pal. And I went through, and it was a traditional 80s tackle, and went through, took the ball and put him in the track, to which the referee came over and went, "Listen, you've got one situation here, mate, and you're going to be red carded, so I think you need to be disappearing of your own free will before I red card you." So I did.
Ian, so how did the run down to non-league football and later 9 long years in the conference, how did that affect your day-to-day work?
Well, obviously in between that we obviously had the going into administration, which was heartbreaking really. I mean, the start of it was I lost Trevor Ball, who'd been with me since an apprentice. Then I lost Kevin Hill, who was also working here at the time. Then it moved on that Lisa, who is now my wife, who'd been helping me for 18 years with the safety, was made redundant, and it was a massive impact. All I was left with was Mick, bless him, who's still here now, who was my maintenance man. And all of a sudden, when you're losing 120 hours of labour a week, and you equate that to 400 plus a month, that's a massive hit. And it is still, it's still a challenge. And on top of that, of course, in those days we used to have the apprentices as well, because the apprentices were allowed to help with the jobs. So it was the start of becoming challenging, and then it was documented from a lot of angles within the supporters. Why do we need to have Ian there? Why do we need a good pitch in this league, and all the rest of it? And I can understand their comments. But I don't think to this day people realise all the aspects of what it takes to run this little stadium. But it was heartbreaking to be relegated after all of that time, and like I say, without being disrespectful to some of the teams, to play some of the teams we did and they bring 35 in a dog, as opposed to having lockouts, was a real eye-opener. And a lot of the loyal staff, I sort of mentioned earlier that we used to have 75 to 80 of our own stewards, to sort of say to 50% of them, sorry folks, I can't use you anymore, I don't need you, when they've been so loyal, was very, very challenging. And it just continues really. You lose all the benefits as well. As again, it's been well documented, I like to beg, steal and borrow, and a lot of the companies who I've sort of dealt with over a big part of my life here weren't so keen to be involved with a non-league side as what they were a league side, because there was nothing for me to offer them. So it was really, really hard, and I think probably out of all the awards that we've won here for the pitch, I think winning the awards in the conference was probably as rewarding as anything, because there was just no money to be spent on the pitch. What we did, we achieved by sort of blood, guts and hard graft. But in the normal form, it still came to United. You have to get off your backside and you have to do your job, or if you don't like it, get out the heat.
Okay, I think you're actually preempting some of my questions, which is great. So coming more up to date, we're now back in the Football League.
Yep.
Have things started to improve? Does Richard Money ask you for a specific pitch?
Richard has been absolutely brilliant. I mean, in fairness to him, he's asked for the best surface we can provide at any time. Obviously, our game at the moment is to play fast, or try to play fast, attractive football. Hence the reason every single game I get asked, why do you water? And it is simply the fact that Richard wants a little bit of zip on the surface, and the way to do that is the same as Man United do, although they do theirs for other reasons. But just by giving it that sort of 2 to 3 minutes all over, it just provides that little extra bit of pace on the ball. But every manager's had their own ideas of what they require, and obviously it's my role to try and provide that.
Yeah. We've noticed that the sprinklers are quite often on just before the game starts, and again at half time.
Yeah.
Are you ever tempted to soak someone deliberately?
To be honest, there's been occasions we have, because obviously these are all computerised, and there's 40 sprinkler heads within the pitch, and it's quite common for a player to sort of actually put a stud through it or whatever, and that will knock the mechanism out. And I think it was the game before last I ended up having to cancel it or get Mick to turn them off, because somebody had took the head off of one of the sprinklers, and when we switched them on it came up like a big fountain. And I thought, oh my God, that's all I need. And I'm trying to bloody well draw Mick's attention, and he's chatting away thinking everything's all right, and I've got absolutely ripped apart at the end and whatever by it. But it happens. But it's what Richard deems as necessary, so we deliver.
There's one question you know is going to come along, and that's the Manchester United game. Now after that, a game which Cambridge United matched them in endeavour and everything else you can imagine, your pitch came in for some criticism from a certain manager, and it wasn't ours.
I really, to be honest, I've got a lot of sympathy for the bloke, their manager. Certainly the aspects of a multi-million squad coming to lowly Cambridge and getting matched, I would be sitting there thinking it was too cloudy, the stars were too bright, what else can I use? And the fact is that we had Manchester United security staff down here during the build-up to the game, and they were so complimentary about the pitch, it was unbelievable. Their kit manager came down and was so complimentary about the pitch. Gary Lineker, Phil Neville and Alan Shearer were really complimentary about the pitch. Martin Keown was complimentary about the pitch. And the media generally, for somebody in the Sunday Express to stand up for a lowly groundsman, to say that actually this manager's talking out the back of his hat. Do I care that Arsenal won 2-1? Of course I do. I might get nominated for the awards this year and win a trophy, he won't. So we'll see what happens, but it's not the first time we've had it. It was a repeat of what happened in the 80s with Ron Saunders. When we drew 1-1, it was exactly the same. Headlines in the paper was Ron Saunders fumes over bumpy pitch, and we promptly went to Villa Park and there wasn't a blade of grass on it, and Steve Spriggs, in fairness, stuck up for me then. So you take it with the rough and the smooth. The interesting thing from my perspective as well was it didn't really go down very well for him generally, because we just had our marks through, because back in the Football League your pitch gets marked, and we were way above the average of most other pitches in the league. So I obviously didn't miss the opportunity to hand that in either, to various people, because I think we need to be proud of what we provide here. And when other clubs come here and they comment about the playing surface, and managers over the years have said that players have come here because of the pitch, they've offered the same contract, been offered the same contract as other clubs have offered them, but I would like to play on this playing surface. That's credit to my volunteers for the work that they do. So water off a duck's back, really. I think the positive is I've been fortunate enough to do a lot of articles in the last month following on from that. It's given me the option as well to promote the greenkeeping world off the back of his comments and how good the pitch is. I've since joined the Institute of Groundsmen grassroots set up, so I'm now working with the CAMS FA to try and help local groundsmen as well. So the best thing he did was criticise the pitch. It's given us some extra coverage and whatever, so who cares?
What was memories of Ken Shelletto and John Ryan from those years?
Again, Ken Shelletto was one of the difficult ones to work with. I've actually, not that I can see him, I've made myself some notes on there behind where you're sitting, and because I like to be prepared. But Ken Shelletto actually came to me and said, do yourself a favour, find yourself another job, because they won't be here in a few weeks. So I thought, oh well, this is bloody cheerful. John Ryan for me was the most, how can we say it, I felt really sorry for John Ryan, because his ethics and what he wanted to do were really, really good. And I was really, really close to John Ryan and Kate, his missus. He made the fatal mistake of saying, I've got players that will come and walk and play for me. What he didn't realise was, yes, he probably could have done, but he didn't realise we could only offer them 2 peanuts and a sherbet to play. And that was the difference. And I think that was like a massive learning curve for him early doors, to keep your trap shut until you have delivered rather than promise. But John was a really, really nice caring fella who did give a lot of consideration to his players, and it just went wrong for him. It happens, but he was probably wiser afterwards.
Yeah, and then it's over and hard, wasn't it?
That was a totally different experience. When they came here and they thought this was our training ground, and they turned around and said, right, where's the stadium? And I went, well, actually what you've just done, where you've destroyed the pitch, that is where you're playing Saturday. And they didn't realise. But I mean, look at the qualities. I mean, he's gone on to win trophies sort of worldwide.
African Cup of Nations. Yeah.
And Rob Newman.
Rob, again, got on really well with him. Worked hard. In that era though, sort of where we were really, really struggling, I think anybody in that position with what we had would have found it hard. But that's football. I mean, I remember Tony Douglas when I first started here sort of saying, football is like a wheel. It will go round and it will evolve. You will have good and you'll have bad, and as soon as you're at your worst, you're going to start to get better. And that's where we're at now. We've sort of achieved what we did last year. I think as long as we stay up this year, I think Richard's done an amazing job, and I think everybody will regroup and move on.
Has your job technically, you know, looking after the turf, has it changed over the years, in the 36 years?
Dramatically. I think I was one of the first to not use a roller. I mean, occasionally we'll do it if time is of an essence to get something back before the bad weather sets in, but everything now has changed to such an extent. When you look at the Premier League pitches in particular, all of those I would suggest now without fail are either a Deso pitch, which have probably got 30% plastic woven into them, or they are fibre sand pitches, so they're structured, built within a mattress of fibre. Most of the clubs now have got UV lights that are on 24/7. They've also got climatic control. You can make grass grow all year round at these big stadiums, and it's all to do with the science. It's like here now, there's sort of liquids that we could use that are absorbed through the leaf here, as opposed to just banging granular fertiliser on and whatever, but it's all about finance. But the machinery as well, everything nowadays, the modern equipment is on flotation tyres, so there's no compaction. The mower that CFU very kindly helped me out with, the weight of that is 50% less than the machines that we've used for the past 10 years. So everything changes all the time. I sort of just, when people say about that, I sort of look at what happens within the car manufacturing business. Everything generally with a car, when you have the next plate comes out, there's amendments to it or there's improvements, and it's the same. Grass seed now, you can buy grass seed for shaded areas or cold areas, and it's like we reseeded 3 weeks ago with a product called SOS, which germinates at just +3, because obviously following what we did against Luton, where potentially if that had been a league game we probably wouldn't have played. But the fact that we had over 100 police officers on duty, and I'd got 90 stewards involved that day, and the corporate side was sold out, I was pleading with the referee to play the game. So I've got my greenkeeper's hat on saying I don't want to play because I know the pitch is going to be destroyed, but I've got my safety officer's hat on going, bloody hell, I've got 1,500 Luton here with a load of risk and potentially our risk out that might have a little bit of a mix. So it's all those aspects, but pitch wise it changes so quickly now that if you don't stay up with the modern techniques, your pitch can be horrendous. I mean, I think generally if you look across the country now at the quality of the pitches now compared with the 80s, there's no comparison.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering about, difficult to put into words, but your relationship with the surface, with the pitch, and with the stadium itself. Have you sort of got a personal relationship with it? Have you? Is it part of you, sort of thing?
I think it's a real tricky one to explain, but I think when you've worked on the surface for 36 years, you know exactly what your subsoil is by the inch. So if I go down 6 inches, I know I'll start to get gold. If I go down 8 inches, I can make pots and pans out of it. It's so clayified. And when I look at what I've introduced material-wise over the years to get us to the position we're in where the pitch is acceptable, it does become personal. And like the chap in the Sunday Express, where he got it from I don't know, because I hadn't done the interview with Look East. I've spent well over 30 grand of my own cash over the 36 years. Colin Proctor, again bless him, has been here when a lorry load of sand has turned up. He's gone, where's the order number? Well, there ain't an order number because I've paid for it on my credit card. And fertiliser over the years, and the machinery in the garage now, there's a mower in the garage exactly the one, same as the one CFU bought, because we have to have a pair. You can't have one that weighs X amount and another one that weighs something else because it doesn't perform right on the pitch. There's a spiker over there that's mine, there's a ride-on mower over there that's mine, and I'm not being a smart ass about it, they're essentials, but if the club hasn't got it, that out there is my business card, and I want it to be as good as it can be, not just for my benefit but for our team. And then also when I look around here, I've got people like Richard Mead, Peacocks, and all of these companies that have given me over the years thousands of pounds worth of products and materials. And again, on the back of winning Groundsman of the Year awards, I don't sort of sit back and think, God blimey, that's it, I'm finished now. As soon as we win something, I'm out saying, oh, Barenberg, actually we've been using your seed, what are you going to give me if I give you a good plug? Everest, we've been using your fertiliser, I'll give you a really good plug but I want X amount, and it's surprising how often they'll do it. And I suppose I'm quite lucky that I got the gift of the gab, as you found out. And I think again, when Claudine left as commercial manager and poor old Dave Doggett had his head in his hands, sort of saying, I don't know what I'm going to do at the moment commercially, and I had a load of holiday owed to me, and I said to him, Dave, I reckon I could sell all these boards around here in a fortnight. And I said, but what I'll do is I'll take some holiday, I won't do it so it's in club time, and I'll see what I can do. And we got an absolute shock just by getting off our backsides, going knocking on people's doors. Mick George, obviously it's well documented that Neil Johnson and John Stump at Mick George's initially weren't interested at all, and I just kept badgering away at them, and we get the biggest shirt sponsorship deal we've had for a decade. Vindis came in, a nice local big company through that. Acorn, Mark Cullum at Acorn, another one, been so helpful over the years, and people just want to be treated with a bit of respect and be made to feel important, which they obviously are. And I really enjoyed doing a commercial manager's role for 9 months, and it just proved that there's a lot of goodwill for Cambs United. So you've probably asked the ultimate question, how do I feel about it? I don't think I'd still be here if I didn't or hadn't loved it over the years, because the amount of jobs I've been offered and some of the money that I've been offered over the years has been frightening. With clubs, certainly in the last 18 months, there's been 2 other good job offers come in. Also I had a chance to go to Ipswich Town when Alan Ferguson got the job at St George's. Alan put me forward for the job at Ipswich, and obviously Malcolm was there as well. There will be a time when I leave. I'm lucky enough to have just taken my pension at the tender age of 55, so when the time is right for me and my family, I'll hand over the reins. But I've just loved my time at Cambs United and probably spent too much time here, so that's it really. I just love it.
Ian, I think with that we'll say thank you very much for your time, and it's been a great pleasure.
No, you're welcome.